Okay, so for number 12 here, we don't have fraction manipulatives because we're doing distance learning. So I'm going to ask you to do 12A, start off by drawing a picture of this situation. We have a green carpet that takes up 1/4 of the room, and I want to know is how many groups of 1/8 of that room can I fit into that 1/4 of a room space? So go ahead and draw a picture, and then we'll figure out the next question. So when I have my picture here, I basically use the green square here and I drew it into fourths using just the green part here. And then I shaded in just on the right-hand side to show that the green carpet takes up 1/4 of the room. Then I drew a blue line in there. I know that 1/8 is actually going to be, is half of 1/4 in there. So as I draw a line through that, I broke it up into 8 pieces. And I can see that there is one section of 1/8 that takes up the green carpet and a second section of 1/8 that takes in the green part. So there are two parts, so I can fit in 2 of the 1/8 into the 1/4. So that actually answers my question, is there are 2. And the question is, have I done 1/8 divided by 1/4, or have I done 1/4 divided by 1/8? And the answer is going to be, I start off with 1/4 of a carpet, and I'm asking how many 1/8 can fit of it. So I'm actually taking my 1/4 and dividing it into 1/8. So the answer is 1/4 divided by 1/8. All right, now I'm going to ask you to go ahead and do the same thing with part B, except this time I have 1/8 of the room with a purple carpet, and I want to know how many groups of 1/4 of that room can I fit into that 1/8 of a room space. Again, draw a picture and then see if you can figure out the answers from that. Well, even though I didn't have a purple pen, I had a blue pen here. I drew a carpet and I shaded in the purple carpet that takes up 1/8 of the room. And how many groups of 1/4 can I fit in there? Well, 1/4 is basically 1/4 of the carpet here. How many of those red ones can fit into where the blue one is? Well, I can't fit a whole one. In fact, I can only fit half of it in. So half of the red carpet of that 1/4 will actually fit into the 1/8. So that actually answers the question. I can only fit in 1/2 of the carpet. Now, what did I do? I took 1/8 here and I divided it and said how many groups of 1/2 will fit into it. So I'm doing 1/8, I'm sorry, not 1/2. How many? I had 1/8, and I said how many groups of 1/4 will fit in it. So I do 1/8 divided by 1/4 is what I did in this one. So we're going to do the math division, check our answers here. Let's go ahead. The first one in A was 1/4 divided by 1/8, which should have been 1/4 times the reciprocal times 8 over 1. All right, I can reduce this. Oops. Should be a 1. And 4 goes into 4 once, and it goes into 8 twice. Go ahead and multiply across, and I'm going to get with 2 over 1. Again, that was a 1 here. All right, so 2 over 1, which is 2. Did that match my answer? Yes, it did. Okay, let's do the 1/8 divided by 1/4. 1/8 divided by 1/4 is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal times 4 over 1. Again, we will 4 goes into 4 once, it goes into 8 twice, and I end up with 1/2, and sure enough, I got that answer as well. So go ahead and do parts D and E, draw the pictures, answer both of those, D and E, and then check back to see if you've learned from the first part to see how well you can do in this second part here. So in the first one, I drew a red carpet broke it into 8 sections because I'm figuring out the 3/8. We need to break them into 8ths. And then I shaded them in 1, 2, and 3 of them I shaded in to give 3/8. And then I'm going to figure out how many groups of 1/4. Well, 1/4 I said was this green rectangle here. So here was one of them here. And I didn't quite fit another whole second one in here. I only was able to fit a half of one in. So that means I was able to fill in 1 1/2 of those 1/4 inch spaces into the 3/8 of a room. All right. And so what I did was I was taking the 3/8 and I divided into groups of 1/4. So 3/8 divided by 1/4 is what I was doing. Now, when I drew the blue carpet, again, I drew the blue one here. I actually drew up in eighths again, but in this case here, because it was 1/4, I shaded in 2/8, which is the same thing as 1/4. So there are 1, 2 of those eighths. That makes 1/4 in blue. Then I'm saying, all right, how many groups of 3/8 can I fit in there? Well, that's going to be 3 of the squares. Well, how many groups of 3 can I fit in the 2? Well, I can't fit in a whole thing. Those are 3 squares, so it's less than that. In fact, it's only 2 out of, here's 1, 2 out of the 3 squares. So it's 2/3 of the 3/8 are being filled in. So the answer here is actually going to be 2/3. All right, let's do the math division to check. The first one, and that one was, we took 1/4 and we divided into 3/8. So that's basically what we did on that one. So let's go back to part D. Let's do the math. 3/8 divided by 1/4, which is the same thing as 3/8 times 4/1. 4 goes into 4 once, it goes into 8 twice. And we're going to end up with 3/2, which is 1 1/2. And that's what we got here. That checks out. And then the other one was 1/4 is divided by 3/8, which is the same thing as 1/4 times its reciprocal, 8/3. Again, we have 4 goes into 4 once and goes into 8 twice. And we end up with 2/3 when we multiply it through.